In this unit, we're covering Chapter 8 in Ballantyne and Hammock, which is all about the informal system of schools. Now, in earlier units of this course, we've spent a good deal of time looking at the formal system of schools, looking at formal structures and roles and responsibilities. When we talk about the informal system and the hidden curriculum, we're talking about that learning that takes place outside of the stated curriculum in the school. Or, as Ballantyne and Hammock put it, the informal system is made up of those unplanned experiences that happen apart from or as a result of the formal planned curriculum of schools. Some things to note here. The informal system and the hidden curriculum are where a lot of real socialization takes place. This is where we learn norms and values and expected behaviors and so on. Chapter 8 talks about the value climate, and the authors provide a summary of a study by Philip Jackson and several of his colleagues. They looked at how morals were being taught in schools. Interestingly, what they found is that morals are not taught as part of the formal curriculum. That is, there is no chapter of a book or class on moral behavior, in addition to math, reading, science, and social studies. At least not in public schools, although certain formal morality is taught in many private religious schools. Instead, morals come through, though, in just about everything that students do, like listening to teachers talk about drug abuse, or reciting the Pledge of Allegiance, or even having students create posters that say things like, "Take pride in what you do," or "Peace on earth." These are all moral statements. Another concept that Ballantyne and Hammock talk about in this chapter is social reproduction, and you'll see this when they discuss studies by Bowles and Gintis, as well as the great book Ain't No Making It by Jay McLeod. Incidentally, McLeod's book is part of our supplemental readings in this course, and I highly recommend it. It's a great read. Social reproduction is the concept that through a number of different mechanisms, children tend to grow up to be members of the same social class as their parents. One major structural factor in this process is education. Parents who have a low educational attainment level, say a high school diploma or GED at the most, are less capable of helping their children learn what they need to know in school, less exposed to the bureaucratic network of schools, even intimidated by it. Thus, they are less able to negotiate the bureaucracy on behalf of their children. They're often earning low wages, requiring overtime or more than one job to make ends meet, and thus having less time to spend helping and encouraging their children. And they often undervalue their children's education because they themselves have not seen that an education has made much difference in their own lives. This last point is what you'll see a great deal of amongst a group of teenage boys in Jay McLeod's book known as the Hallway Hangers. McLeod contrasts the Hallway Hangers with another group known as the Brothers, who, for a number of other reasons, do value education and see it as a way out of the slum neighborhood where all these boys are growing up. One of the things that makes McLeod's book so interesting is that by the third edition of the book, he went back to the same neighborhood and tracked down many of the same people he interviewed when they were teenagers. And guess what he found? Social reproduction. And, in many ways, a self-fulfilling prophecy. Many of the boys, the brothers in this case, who believed that they could use education as a way to get out of the slum did, although it was a major uphill struggle. The hallway hangers, for the most part, found themselves in working-class jobs or no jobs, living lives very similar to their parents' lives, and right in the same neighborhood. So look for these kinds of processes as you read through Chapter 8. Pay attention to the open systems approach that Ballantyne and Hammock discuss toward the beginning of the chapter, because there they show how the outside community in many ways shapes the hidden curriculum in schools. And then as students learn that curriculum and grow up and become part of the outside community, they continue to foster the same values and beliefs, instilling those beliefs in their own children and in the schools that their children attend. So there's a feedback loop there of values and morals and beliefs and so on. So that's about it for this week's lecture. Remember that you do have another essay due at the end of this unit, in addition to the standard quiz and discussion forum.